Alright, hey everybody. I thought it'd be fun to do a little voiceover during this video. So this is the 2025 High Point Hill Climb time trial. I did the non-TT bike category 4 or 5. This is my second outdoor in real life race ever, with the first one being a week before this one. I've done a couple organized rides, which I guess are sort of races, but these are the first two that I treated as a race. So you can see they have you starting every 30 seconds apart, which is nice. They'll hold the bike for you if you want, let you clip in. You can also go on your own, that's fine. Whatever your preference is. You'll see I opted to have them hold me up. It's a little bit awkward at first, just getting the positioning, but it helps you be able to clip in and not have to worry about that once you get started. They give you a very clear countdown, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then you go.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Have 30 seconds.
So here we are, clipping in. My game plan was for the first 90 seconds to hold 315 watts. I know on the screen there it looks a little weird. The data is a little messed up, but it'll start working once I start actually riding. So it's hold 315 for 90 seconds, so I don't burn myself out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
There we go. And then after that, my plan was to hold about 340 until the 20-minute mark, and then try to ramp up to about 400, and then with the finish line in sight,
90 seconds.
I was going to try to just gun it, do the best I can. Unfortunately, you'll see in this video, my GoPro died at the end, so you actually don't see my finish, which is a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. I talk to myself quite a bit as I'm riding, help keep me psychologically pumped and ready to go. I also try to thank people
Thank you.
like him, people that are out there guiding the traffic. This is a little bit of a busy road. This is Route 23 in New Jersey. Kind of a funny story, as I was getting started here,
90 seconds.
I went from the registration area, which is about 2/3 of the way up the hill, that's where you park, and you're supposed to ride down to the start. I was following my Garmin, and it actually sent me the wrong way down 23. So I basically went down the mountain the wrong direction. Luckily, I was able to find a phone number for one of the people that were running the show, and they were able to send somebody down to save me and pick me up, so I didn't have to drive or ride my bike back up the mountain to get back up over and down to the start. So relatively flat at the beginning here. You can see about a 5% grade, 4% grade, and it's that relative gradient until about 1.5 miles in. Then you get a little bit of a downhill, and then it ramps back up again. I do a lot of Zwift riding and racing, so going outdoors is a little bit of uncharted territory for me. Normally I also have my cadence much lower than 80. Still learning how to modulate my power and cadence outdoors, where there's a lot of additional variables that come into play.
Steady. Steady.
There I am reminding myself to stay steady at 340. Kind of kept my eyes on the riders ahead. I think this is the last rider that I do manage to catch. There might have been one additional one. And you'll see about 2/3 of the way through the race, I did have one rider pass me. This is actually a pretty stacked field. The winner of the 4-5 would have gotten, I think, either second or third in the Cat 1, 2, 3 race. So some pretty strong riders.
Looking good. Keep it up.
I do try to encourage the other riders. Typically, we're all here doing the same thing, chasing the clock, trying to get our own personal bests. It's a little different than a group ride when you need to use drafting and all sorts of dynamics with the group. This is more of just
All right, 4 minutes in.
doing what you can. Looks like I may have stand corrected earlier. I think I do catch one more rider. You can see I'm just staying on it, trying to average 340 watts, so a little below it, a little above, and I'm keeping an eye on my bike computer, just trying to flatten it out. I also am keeping an eye on my heart rate. You can see it's about 170 here, which is certainly elevated for me. I think my max is around 192, 193 these days. I don't think I touched 190 during this race, but I'm pretty sure I got into the 180s towards the top of the hill. You can see me trying to adjust some of the screens there on the bike computer. I think I had 3 active screens with slightly different data. What I was probably trying to do there was look to see how far away I was from the first little downhill. RPM, going 11 miles an hour. Of course, on the video it doesn't show very well the elevation, but it's deep enough that you feel it for sure. I did shift a fair amount. Oh, looks like I'm standing for the first time.
Just for a minute.
When I ride on Zwift, I do much more standing than I did today. Next year, I plan to do this race again. I will take the beginning a little bit stronger. I was looking at the times and the power profiles on Strava from a lot of the other riders, and everybody had significantly higher power than I did at the beginning. I probably could have gone a little bit more. I didn't want to burn myself out. I was trying to stick to the plan. But I think I can be a little bit more aggressive at the start, especially since it's not very steep at the beginning and you can make up a lot of time. One of the other things slightly working against me, it was going to be a known situation. I was actually using gravel tires on this race. And I was using gravel tires because Battenkill is next week, and that course is, I think, 20 to 25% of that is hard-packed gravel. So when I originally signed up for this race, the whole point of this race was actually for me to test my gear, make sure everything was working right and felt good, and I wasn't trying to set any new records or anything for this race anyway. So I decided to stick with it. I almost went to my road tires and gave it a go, but I felt this was fine, and it wasn't probably that big of a penalty, except for on the flats and the downhills. And the uphills, I don't think it really matters much, but there is about a mile of this 5.5 mile course that is downhill. I'll show a elevation graph at the end of this video, and you'll see there's a couple sections that are downhill, and even though I was trying to get aero and tucked in, one of the other riders after the fact, he put it well. He said it's kind of like trying to push through mud when you're on these kind of knobby gravel tires. And my wheels are also not the lightest wheels in the world that I'm using at the moment. So next year, like I said, I'll use road tires and my lighter carbon wheels.
Let's get it normal.
Back to standing here a little bit. It might be a little bit of irony, but I actually stand to rest a little bit. You can see my cadence is down in the low 50s, high 40s, and I'm just kind of
340.
pushing a little bit. Still trying to keep it at 340 watts. It's hard, like I said, for me to kind of modulate this outdoors. Indoors, I've got the feel for it. Outdoors, not yet. I don't have the experience yet. And then shifting, I was in a little bit of a high gear there. RPM went way too high. You see my legs are really cooking, and
Swallowed a bug.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, swallowed a bug. I remember that. That was fun. I took a deep breath and a little gnat or something went in.
Turn that average up a little. Come on.
Talking to myself a little, trying to boost the numbers a little. I knew I was a little low after, especially that shift into too high of a gear. I'm looking at a 3-second average, and then I also have my overall average on my bike computer. I also do not have any water bottles, no tools for this race. I tried to have the bike, other than the gravel tires, I tried to make the bike effectively as light as I can.
Here we go. Here's the downhill. Real downhill.
The bike is a 2021 Trek Amanda SL5, but it has some upgraded bits on it that make it about the same weight as the SL6. So it is designed to be a climbing bike, so it's in its element here. See, I'm taking a little reprieve here on the downhill. But I'm only going 22, 23 miles an hour, maybe 24. A lot of the other racers were close to 30 at this part. Next bike that I get, I might be on a completely different bike next year. I do plan to upgrade bikes a little bit. I'll get one with digital shifting instead of mechanical, which may help a little bit with some of these transitions that I'm not great at doing. So here I'm just trying to keep the plan, keep that 340 watts. I'm gonna go a little above it, a little below it.
Lindy, we're good. Feeling good.
Telling myself I'm feeling good, even though my heart's beating 178 beats a minute. And high 80s RPMs for me is really very high. Like I said, my cadence, normally I'm more of a grinder and I stay low. But I was trying some new things for outdoors. Next year I'll probably grind a little bit more, and I'll probably set my target wattage a little bit higher for this midsection as well.
Oh, 340. Come on.
As of right now, my top 20-minute wattage is about 370. So I've held an average of 370 over 20 minutes. I targeted 22 minutes for this ride, so I knew I could. I was hoping that 340 would be about right. I didn't know for sure, but I'll be able to use the stats from this year to help me figure out what type of wattage I need to hold next year, roughly, to get a little bit of a better time. I did end up doing it just under 25 minutes. I think it was 24:48 was my official time, which was good enough to put me in 6th out of 12 for the Cat 4.5. I think the guy, it was steep here, 13% grade, 7 degrees. I think last year I probably would have gotten maybe second place in my category. There was somebody who had a video of last year's race, and he mentioned, I think he ended up getting second in 4.5, and I think he did it around 30 minutes. So a little bit more of a stacked field this year for sure. And when the 4.5 guys are literally podium quality for the 1, 2, 3, that's special. So hopefully those guys will upgrade and leave a little bit of room for us in the Cat 4.5 to have a chance. I think I'll be able to go a little quicker next year. I remember this part. This is where I really wished I didn't have gravel tires. I'm pushing 300 up to 400 watts, and I just wasn't moving. I'm tucked, pushing hard, but it just it was tough. It was tough to get going. Beautiful day though. I think it was 60 degrees. It actually ended up getting a little bit warm. Maybe 60, 65 Fahrenheit, of course, here in the US. I did like that there's a pretty decent shoulder for a good portion of this ride. It was either 2 lanes, or when it gets down to 1 lane, I had plenty of room. And I've got my radar going behind me, so I get alerted when there's traffic coming. You're probably hearing a bunch of those little beeps. Really nice to have that. I also have the mirror, as you can see, on the lower part of my handlebar. Sort of a trust but verify thing with the radar. Another relatively steep spot.
Ears popped.
Oh, there you go, my ears popped. Another not great shift. All of a sudden I was in way too low of a gear. I probably shifted a little bit too late there. I'd also like to be putting down a little bit more power at a little bit less cadence. We're getting close to the park here, so you can see a good portion of the ride is on Route 23. I have a lot of alerts on my bike computer. I have it tell me when I've burned 100 calories. I have it tell me when I need to take a drink. In that case, it was the rider who's passing me, who we've become buddies on Strava. So hello, Eric. There you are. He was a monster. I think his average wattage for the whole ride was like 380 according to Strava. My average was like 320 or 325, even though I was targeting 340. I was a little low. So pretty impressive. I just tried to mirror him. Clearly he knew what he was doing much more than I did. So you'll see when he stands, I stand. And I was thinking here, I was like, man, I'd love to just hang on to him. I don't want to get into his draft. With TTs, you don't want to be drafting people. Pretty sure that's against the rules. I don't know all the rules, but I'm pretty sure it's an individual time trial. But I figured I'd give him, once he got in front of me, instead of burning all my matches to stay right behind him, give a little bit of separation. And then I just tried to hold. I just tried to keep the same exact distance You'll see that ultimately was not successful. And also keep in mind he started 30 seconds behind me, so he's already got 30 seconds on me from a time perspective. And he starts to run away just a little bit. This is another one of those sections where I didn't feel great about having these gravel tires. I felt very, very slow for the amount of power I was putting down.
Thank you.
Here I am trying to thank people again, especially the police officers. So here we go, into the park. It's nice that they hold the traffic for us. There's my GPS, this time telling me to turn the correct direction instead of sending me the wrong way, like it did at the start, or before the start. So this is High Point Park. There we go, directing us. It's good, so I know clearly where to go. And this is, I think, the steepest bit. We're pretty close to the steepest bit that we're coming up on. I was happy for the gravel tires right here. You can see the moss on the ground. So this was the one spot I was quite pleased to have gravel tires. I'm just holding on there, 400 watts. We're also about at that 20-minute mark. So actually at the top of this hill, once we got up here, I appreciate those people clapping. It's amazing, the little tiny bit of encouragement. It goes a long way. It's much appreciated. And I remember thinking at the top of this hill, I was like, all right, I'm just going to try to hold 400. A little tired here, so I couldn't. But I think after the next time I stand, I'm like, all right, let's just try to keep 400. At least average 400. Wrong gear. I couldn't keep going. That was a pretty big mistake. You can see the rider in front of me. He definitely was able to just keep going. He was in the right gear and was able to stay steady. And I came almost to a stop, and that's just brutal, losing all that momentum. Still pushing, 182 beats a minute. Trying to find the right gear. You hear me shifting around quite a bit. Click, click, click. We have some nice rollers here. This is the kind of riding I love. I love rollers. But I was real slow. Partially the tires, partially I was tired. I'm just trying to be steady, trying to get up to 400. Couldn't do it here, especially seated. I'm used to standing much, much more. There's a little burst, a little 800 watt burst. I remember trying to get up over this hump. Just keep the momentum going. I didn't want to get caught in the wrong gear. But it's these hills, these rollers were tough for me. I just couldn't get the speed up. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of my video. There are still a couple more turns left. I say one more thing to myself, and that'll be it.
Alright, almost there, come on.
And that was it. The GoPro died. I think it overheated. I really don't know. But there was only a little bit more of the race. So there is my power curve for this race relative to the rest of the year. And there's the elevation profile. All right. Thanks a lot, and see ya.